Hodder Education has been running workshops for primary and secondary teachers since 2011, across a range of subjects that are being taught in English. The workshops normally last for 2 to 2.5 hours and can take place during school hours or after school. Much of the time is spent working through activities, which can be found in the handout that is given to participants when they arrive, and these ideas can then be taken back to the classroom to help teachers deliver the curriculum more effectively. The workshops also provide excellent opportunities for teachers from different schools to share ideas in a supportive and stimulating environment. This video was recorded during a workshop for primary teachers in Dubai. It looked at recent changes to the Cambridge programmes for maths, English and science, and gave teachers ideas for teaching different aspects of the courses. The workshop was run by Katie Mackenzie-Stuart, who has taught English, maths and science to lower secondary students and who has over 20 years' experience of publishing textbooks across a range of subjects and levels. The workshop began with a general overview of the Cambridge English programme. It then looked at an activity to support phonics.
So, I'd like to introduce myself. My name, as you can see, is Katie Mackenzie-Stuart. What I'm going to be talking about today is mainly the materials and activities that can be used for the Cambridge primary programme. But I have to make it clear, I'm employed by Hodder Education Publisher, not by Cambridge International Exams. I know quite a lot about what they require because I've worked very closely with them over many years. Who's been teaching the primary English for a few years? Yeah, and you're now teaching this?
We are doing this, but we've adapted a bit. We've patterned our syllabus to fit. So a lot of what is here, we've broken our English according to the 4 strands.
Right.
And we are doing a lot of what is here.
And because that's most of what you would expect to do anyway. I mean, I think particularly for any schools that are just thinking about going into it, that's one of the messages that I would hope people would take away. It's not some radically different course. It's pretty, yes, it's pretty familiar to what you would expect. It's one of the reasons they're successful, these courses. They cover the things that the students need to know. I know a man called Mr. Red, he wears saucepans on his head. Could become, I know a man called Mr. Red, he wears trousers in his bed. Your task now is have to go with either the first, second or third. You don't have to do all 3 of them, but you've got to come up with a second line in each case. So the last word still rhymes and the pattern of the second line is still the same pattern. You can do this in pairs. You do not need to do this you can even do it in 3s.
I know a man called Mr. Black. He has a hunch on his back. Next one. I know a man called Mr. Pink who always likes to blink.
This activity is about using prepositions.
The tree falling on his head, where might it have fallen? Next to, behind, beyond, anything that gives a sense of away from him, exactly. He walked quickly into a busy road. What might he have done instead? Towards, away from, across, beside, any of those would do.
Out of the busy road?
It would certainly be better than going into it, but yes, we don't know whether he was in the road to begin with, but yes, in a sense, it certainly is a better option, that one. The next one, I don't think there's much choice you can have. He's up on. Yes, I think that's probably the only thing we could make.
This third activity is about the structure of a story.
One day, what's my next day going to be like?
Yes.
Whereas another one had this him waking up the first morning and thinking, oh, I've got to go to school, what's it going to be like? So that's a slightly different variation. And yes,
I
so
would
I'll come back to you in a second.
I would start with the second picture. One day Salim goes to school happily with his mother.
Right.
Okay. And that day evening he plays in the park with his friends.
Right.
But suddenly he sees that one of his friends has lost the tooth because of tooth decay. Okay. And then at night when he was brushing, he feels sad that somehow he has.
The one that I liked, somebody came up with, was that he went to school with his mum, cleaned his teeth. He went to school with his mum, and then the teacher said, tell me about 3 of your favourite things. And he said, I like just before, when I get up in the morning, looking out of the window and wondering what the day's like. I like playing with my friends, but most of all I like it when my mum comes and collects me. So we've got another, which is another nice. The thing I quite liked about that was that you can start to build up the concept of a story before they're reading words.
During the maths section, strategies for mental calculations were considered.
This is a strategy for multiplying by 11. The first step isn't great, we're happy with that. So you multiply by 10 and you get the answer. Then what they should they have added 11 or they should, exactly. Instead of subtracting 11, they should have added 52. Get them to make the prediction. They don't need to be right or wrong, but they need to say, I think this one will, I think this one won't. And then you can start to think about their explanation. It doesn't add.
Scientific inquiry skills were also discussed.